I turned on auto start, and I think that actually fixed it. But let's see if
something's going properly.
Don't jinx us, Lewis. Don't jinx us. I'm waiting for the bits. I see no bits. That could be a problem.
What the?
Why are there
It sounded like the Hellraiser teeth. Jeez.
Why are there no bits?
Maybe you need to post the tweet.
We've got somebody in the chat. Betty Reyes, can you hear us? Hey, but I'm not seeing a picture come through.
A quiet, hesitant, hey, y'all.
And Caveman's got 59 minutes before he has to walk his sweet buns out of here, so that's going to be a problem. Let me try refreshing. Well, they can hear us. We can hear. Let me refresh the page. Maybe that is the problem. Can you all hear us? Oh.
If so, I'm sorry.
Okay. Boom! That was it. Thank you for letting us know that. Okay, because on our end, there was no picture. It said that we were ready to go live. So thank goodness that worked. Oh, my goodness. Hugo, I'm going to save that for when we actually go live. The last effect, in effect. Going straight to LK's pocket. I'm conflicted about these
His
donations.
bulging pocket. It's like a pole vaulter with that pocket.
All right. We got a lot of stuff to do. Oh, we forgot to tweet, though. So let me do that real fast.
No!
This will be the one that brings them all in.
This is the pathway to success
I
right
hope
here.
Talk Show and 9 to 5 Mac Podcast aren't live right now because they're about to lose their whole audience. Ready, Lewis?
Oh, I've never been more ready.
I don't think if Jerry Seinfeld did a boom, it would sound any different than that which I just did. I really don't. It was that accurate. Okay. You got the tweet action there, Lewis?
No, can't find it. Not seeing it.
Do you guys see the level of unprofessionalism I have to deal with?
What you just said.
Ninja Bricks
there we
says, I love the podcast and thought I would try a live. Well, thank you, Ninja Bricks. I hope that you like it. And I hope that you
Welcome.
come
It's
back.
the same as the audio podcast, except slightly worse because I can't edit it.
Yeah, but
worse.
You get to
More
see
raw,
us.
more essential.
I think the live show is way more fun than the recording, but I get most people can't come here because it's in the middle of the day. But we try to do this at a time where it's all the different time zones can actually join. I don't think they do, but they could. Unless you're in India. I think maybe India might be too late. But that might be the only one. Lewis, your picture is very bright. You look like Casper, the Apple News host.
I don't know what to do about it.
Actually, you look like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family.
I mean, there's no like,
I kind of like it.
there's no
You look like you're fading in and out like the...
de-whiteify the ghost man. That is not an option.
You look like one of the
shame,
Force ghosts from the end of Star Wars.
Oh, wait.
You look like an angel coming down to tell us.
Yeah.
Hand us some golden plates or something.
Yeah. You do look like an angel. Okay.
It's weird. Nothing seems to be making any kind of difference. How about that?
Okay.
Better? Better? Worse?
Actually, that
worse?
did make a difference. Yeah.
Try
Yeah, it makes
turning
a
off the
difference. I can't tell if it's
10,000
better.
lumen light directly above your head.
Ah! My retinas. Go make that bed while you're back there.
All right, we're going dark.
Okay.
Is it actually better? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I
actually,
should turn off all the lights.
No,
I
no,
just
no.
do it and
it
I
looks
could
good.
put some, tar paper over my windows.
No. Don't. No. I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah. Now you look like a hacker. It's like all dark in your room.
mode. Look
All
at
right.
that nasty scar on my forehead.
Ugh. What happened?
Sheesh. Look like Gorbachev. Got in a fight with the floor, Erfon. Got in a fight with the floor. Floor one.
It often does. GoFundMe to get Lewis a ring light. We need to get something set up for Lewis, for poor old Lewis.
This is terrible.
He's gonna look so beautiful with that ring light, it's like that glowing sparkle in his eyes.
It's gonna do it.
Blinking. Everyone will be commenting on your beautiful eyelashes. Okay.
Oh, God.
All right.
Terrible.
Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And I got to be walking these sweet buns out the door in 90 minutes. Actually, 85 minutes. I saw a movie listed on Amazon Prime yesterday. And the duration was 1 hour and 60 minutes. 1 hour and 60 minutes. Like,
What is that? Metric?
all right. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, that's not it. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, I see that Lewis is going dark. Oh, yes, Mrs. D. I went dark with El Katie last night in the boudoir. Ugh. I heard that was actually unusual. Yes, usually it's lights on. Oh, it got worse. Oh, my goodness, Ms. D, if you don't
It
mind.
can always get worse.
It's weird how I didn't miss this last week at all.
I'm sure many of our listeners didn't either, to be honest with you. You didn't have Mrs. D on last week?
No.
Oh, that was a
No.
mistake.
I know, we got
Secret
no
transmission.
complaints.
That was a mistake.
No complaints.
Oh, well, I'm sure they were disappointed. They don't know how to contact you because you're not on any of the social media platforms. So there's no way to let you know. All right, let's go ahead, which actually might be a good strategy, to be honest. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Mrs. D, if you don't mind, no one wants to hear about your escapades with El Caney. I'm glad that he's doing well and that he's still living because I heard that he was gone. So let me go ahead and get this music turned up and we'll get this thing rolling in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30 plus minute out conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Erfon. Elijah joined me today. He was so traumatized by my absence last week. He spent most of his days shuffling around his home in a robe and slippers while softly muttering, hello, hello. The vacant stare is mostly gone, and he's definitely doing a lot better. He's a magic of CultCast. Lewis Wallace is here.
I don't know if the vacant stare is fully gone.
It doesn't seem to be, but it's at least 40%. Also with us last week, he answered the call of duty and took the reins of the program here today. I haven't listened to it yet, but many are saying that his hello met the moment and made Mrs. D proud. He's a writer for CultCast. Griffin Jones is here.
Good evening, Erfon, and I can tell you that listen to the episode when you wrote that joke because I didn't even try to do your hello.
Oh, man.
My voice doesn't do that. So I said good evening, as I do every week.
Well, you put your own flair on it, that's fine. But if you ever want to do the hello, I can tell you the trick is very tight underwear. That will get you the height that you need to get to hit those high tones. But that's okay.
Made out of what?
What's that?
Chainmail? What's the...
I prefer Mithril, actually. It really gives you that extra mythicism that you need to get up high. Well, first I just want to say, good job, dudes, for getting a show out. I told Griffin and Lewis, I was like, look, I'm not going to be here if you don't want to do the show. If you can't do it, just don't do it. But they manned up. They got the show done. Griffin did the whole thing. Lewis was there too. I'm sure he helped in some way. But Griffin did
I set a file.
You did?
Yeah, I
Good
set a
job.
file. It was
Well,
great.
look, I mean, we couldn't have done it without that file. Otherwise, it would have just been Griffin talking to himself with long, awkward pauses. So the file helped. But Griffin, great job. I have not listened to the episode yet. I'm going to go back and listen to it. I was on vacation last week and didn't have great internet. And also, I only had my iPad. So, which people keep telling me, oh, you can totally use as a productivity machine. But I was telling Griffin and Lewis, it took me a dang hour to upload the file to our podcast host because it just wouldn't recognize the file. And I almost thought I was going to be able to do it. Like, it was late at night. Griffin, I was like, I'm going to have to ping you in the morning and have you do it because it just would not work. And then finally, I put the two windows side by side on the iPad and I dragged the file from, I don't even know what you call it, Apple Files, the, fake.
The Files app.
The Files app, the fake file window into our podcast web app, and it actually worked. And so that's how I got the episode out live. But in any case, good job. I will be going on vacation again in September.
Next week. Oh,
I'm going on permanent vacation, so I'll just need you guys to continue doing the show by yourself. So maybe you guys can have some special guests on, or maybe get LK on. You asked him, right, Lewis? And he was
I
like,
asked him, and he said
he is
if he
absolutely
wanted to
not.
join, and he said no, not really. So
blink, blink, blink.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get LK on or some other guests. But in September, I'm going to Disneyland, so I'm gonna be gone, and I'm going another place in Washington. So I'll be gone for 2 weeks. But I kind of like this whole, you guys are able to do the show without me and actually be able to take off
Free
and
at
do some
last.
vacation.
Free at last.
I'm not sure I'm coming back. We got a ton of stories to talk about this week. Man, good show. All the M4 Macs, they're incoming. We told you this is going to happen. And it looks like it's going to be an absolutely huge refresh. So if you've been thinking about buying a Mac, absolutely do not do that, because it seems like absolutely everything is going to get the M4 treatment, including the MacBook Pro, which got released in October. And I think we're about to get a new one, which I'm very excited about. And then we have a very big redesign coming to the Mac Mini, which I think is going to make this machine, for those of you that don't need already have your own screen, like the perfect Mac for like most people, especially if you don't want to if you already have all the accessories and stuff that you need. I'm even interested in this for like editing videos and stuff. Griffin is going to tell us all about iOS 18 Beta 5. Lewis is going to tell us about the kid-friendly Apple Watch in production, incoming. And it looks like the company Samsung has had a change of heart and doesn't want to copy Apple anymore. And one of their executives is actually chastising his own company for copying Apple and just releasing products that look just like the Apple products, which we thought would be a fun story. I'm going to tell you why my iPhone 15 Pro Max now looks like this. For those of you listening, I'm holding up my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and you can see all the internals because the screen has been removed by yours truly, which was a harrowing act to say the least. I'll tell you what happened to my iPhone, my story of trying to get Apple to do something about it, and how my iPhone ended up in my hand with no screen. But the good news is I have this cute, diminutive
Look at that.
iPhone 7 here, which I had in a drawer. I believe it's rose gold. Beautiful color, yeah. Tiny, and it still works great. I had to go to AT&T and get a new SIM card put in it. So that took a little bit of effort, but popped it in, and it's not fast, but it works. It's definitely livable, and I have a phone. Who would have guessed that after years of living in a drawer, I could have charged this thing and used it as my main phone? I want to get off this as fast as possible. Every time I look at this phone in a moving vehicle, I get car sick for some reason. I actually am not enjoying using it in any way, shape, or form. Touch ID is way slower than I remember it being. But other than that, it's actually working. Anyway.
How's the battery life?
Oh, dude. Well, that depends. Do you want to use it during the day? I have to charge no joke, I have to charge this phone probably 3 times a day. Every time I use it for any extended period of time, I have to charge it afterwards. I took it to the gym, fully charged, came back. It was at 60%. So not great, Lewis. Not great. I have to walk around with a lightning cable in my pocket. There's a joke in there somewhere, but so anyway, I'll tell you what happened to my iPhone. I hesitate to be passionate about this, but I'm pretty pissed off. I'm pretty pissed off about what happened to my iPhone. I'm pretty pissed about the way Apple treated me when I went to the store. I'm pretty pissed about the whole thing. And I'll tell you the whole story. There's a ton of details to go through. Hopefully we have time for all of it. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to buy a new iPhone 15 Pro Max at this moment because the new phones are coming out next month. So I'm kind of in a bad spot. We'll go through all that stuff. I want to give a quick plug for CultCloth. If you're interested in helping me buy a new iPhone 15 or 16, head on over to cultcloth.co. Man, I was using my CultCloth a lot during this process to clean my phone, remove debris, and that type of thing. I also took them on my vacation, which was, we were doing all sorts of stuff outdoors, getting dusty. We were playing at the river, and everything was getting dirty, and the CultCloth really do shine. And not just for phones. I use them to clean all my kids' glasses, my sunglasses, and there's just nothing as good as them that I've seen. They really are that good. I honestly do think that they are the best that you can buy for any cleaning application that you have, any sensitive electronics, lenses, cameras, glasses. I mean, you name it. Nothing works better than CultCloth. Truly. So if you haven't gotten yourself a pair or a set, head to CultCloth.co. CultCloth.co. There's different packs that you can buy with more or fewer cloths, depending on like how much you want to be cleaning and stuff. You can use them on your car too. Absolutely excellent on cleaning the dashboard of your car and other parts of your car, I've heard. Head on over to CultCloth.co and use code CultCast at checkout to score a free carry cloth with orders $20 plus. We've had thousands and thousands and thousands of orders. So thank you to all of you who have bought it and supported it. If you haven't yet, please head on over to CultCloth.co. And I do want to mention just one quick thing. I'm sorry, I feel like there's so much preamble here. Some of you tagged me. Some of you tagged me in this tweet, and I could not believe what I was seeing. There is a guy who has started specializing in fixing first-gen HomePods. And he has even developed a way to update the software, because a lot of the HomePods that don't work, where you have the volume buttons just blinking on and off, just had a failed software update, and Apple had no way to connect to the HomePod. So they couldn't fix it. Well, this guy developed a cable that he's using to update the first-gen HomePods. And he said that he is actually going to be selling these cables. And he can tell you if your problem on your HomePod is a software issue or a hardware issue. Now, there are some that are hardware issues. So if you want those fixed, you have to send the HomePod to him, which I'm not sure is worth it. Actually, this guy is local. He's probably like 10 miles from me. So I was going to see if I could like hook up with this guy and like go check out his operations and maybe even like make a video on it or something. And
Yeah,
see,
absolutely.
HomePod guy
Come on.
YouTube. You should absolutely do that.
I know, that's what I was saying. I was like, dude, there's no one better positioned to do this than me. And
In fact, just cut this podcast right now. Get
Oh,
out. Go do it right now.
I'm going. Here we go. I'll see you guys later. I got to figure out where he is and make contact with him. If any of you know who this guy is, let him know. I want to get a hold of him. But he's apparently like a HomePod repair expert, and he has all the different parts to like fix the HomePods and stuff. It's wild, man. Totally wild. If he sells a cable that fixes the software issues on a HomePod, that could potentially make him a lot of money, because that issue was fairly widespread. But anyway, I'll let you guys know how this goes. I'm going to reach out to this guy and see if I can go get him to look at my HomePod and possibly fix it. I think that's all the preamble. Should we hop into the actual show? Let's talk first about MacBook Pro, Mac Minis M4 upgrade coming later this year. Let me lead with a baby. This is the one we've been waiting for, especially for the MacBook Pro, which was just updated in August, as I said. Apple will reportedly launch M4-powered MacBooks and iMacs later this year, but the company will wait till 2025 to refresh its entire Mac lineup with M series chips. We could get a refresh as well. Maybe that's going to be the new exterior for the Macs. We have no idea. We have facts either way on that. The MacBook Air and the other high-end Mac desktop Macs will reportedly get M4 upgrades next year. This is coming from Mark Gurman, so you know it's fresh. Apple has typically launched new MacBook Pros in late Q3 or Q4 in the last few years, so it should stick to that same timeline this year, which would be crazy because a 1-year turnaround time for MacBook Pros is a rarity. That does not usually happen. Usually it's longer. The MacBook Air and other high-end desktop Macs will reportedly get their M4 upgrade next year. This is coming from Gurman's Power On newsletter. Did I already read all that stuff? I think I did. Gurman claims Apple will refresh the iMac or the Mac Mini and iMac with the M4 chip later this year. Okay. I swear every single one of these is just repeating the same thing. Updates for the MacBook Air, Mac Studio, and the Mac Pro will arrive in 2025. Okay. So if you're looking for a new Mac Studio, which I think the current one is the M2, correct? I don't believe they actually ever updated the Mac Studio with an M3.
The Mac Studio and the Mac Mini, I think, are both on the M2. So this is saying that the Mac Mini will get an upgrade this year along with the iMac, but then the high end stuff and the MacBook Air will come next year.
I'm really eager to take a peek at what's going to happen with the MacBook Pro. Interestingly enough, there was a sale at Best Buy, I think, this week, and they knocked $1,000 off the 1 terabyte M4 16-core 40-core GPU, 16-core CPU, 40-core GPU MacBook Pro. It's $4,000, and Best Buy is selling it for $3,000.
But you said M4, but which?
Oh, did I say
which
M4?
model is it?
I'm sorry, I meant to say the M3. So clearly not the M4 because that hasn't been released
But
yet.
the current model.
The current model, it's that with those specs is $4,000 at Apple, and Best Buy is, I think they might even still be selling it for $3,000. They knocked $1,000. That is the absolute best price that I've seen on that machine, and a crazy good deal. And I almost bit, but I want 2 terabytes, and I'm gonna wait for the M4 at this point. So in any case, it seems like the stock clearing has begun. Right, Apple is starting to clear out some of their stock. Yeah, so if you're interested in that Best Buy deal, I'll try to post a link to it. I don't know if it's still going, but if you're interested in the M3, I mean, the 16-core, 40-core model is, in many respects, faster than, I think, the M1 Ultra Mac Studio. It is a crazy powerful chip that no mortal actually needs, unless you're editing, 85K video with overlays and color grading and all sorts of other stuff that's going to slow your machine down. You probably don't need it, but it's not about need, Lewis. That's not what we're about here. It's about having the best. Am I right?
Sure. For people like you, it's all about having the best.
Lewis, you're still on the M1 MacBook Air. Are you interested in potentially upgrading to that M4 MacBook Air when it arrives next spring?
I mean, I'm always tempted to get something more powerful. I mean, there are more times these days where this thing will spin a little bit, but it still pretty much gets the job done for me. I mean, I'm not like I'm editing video or anything.
But you could be, Lewis. You could be. Oh, is the sale already over? Oh, dude, it might already be over.
Are you sure it was all the way down to $3,000?
Oh, no.
I mean, we ran a post about it being $3,500.
Okay, no, it's still going. I got it right here. So you're right. There is a caveat here. It is $3,500, and I guess they knock an extra $500 off if you are a Best Buy Plus member, which I think requires you to fork over.
Right.
Oh, but it's only $50 for 2 years. So you pay $50, but you save $500. So that's a pretty good deal. Let me see if I can bring this up here. That's a pretty good deal.
Cancel that though.
What's that?
Got to remember to cancel that subscription though.
Yeah, that's true, but that's not that difficult.
Is it really only $50? I thought it was like $200 a year or something.
My Best Buy Plus, add membership to get your additional savings of $500, and it says $50. Oh, it's $50 a year, I think, not $50 for 2 years. So $50. Yeah, I don't think that's that bad. I think they have another membership that is higher than the Best Buy Plus, which gets you like all like the extended return windows and the extra warranty on like every product that you sell through Geek Squad or something. That's a pretty dang good deal though. Like you spend $50 and get a M3 top spec MacBook Pro for $3,000 plus tax. That is by far the absolute best deal that I've seen anywhere.
Well, this is enough talk about laptops. Can I talk about the most exciting Mac in the world, the Mac Mini?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with your premise, but I might agree that we've been talking about it for too long. Lewis, did we lose you?
Didn't lose me, but I'm just looking at the live stream. I'm seeing a big giant black screen that says something went wrong.
Oh, well, I'm not. So it looks like whatever went wrong.
Just me?
It's just you. Yeah.
Keep
Okay.
hitting refresh.
Take it away, Griffin. Let's talk about Mac Mini.
Apple is going to shrink the next Mac Mini when it adds an M4 processor, according to an often reliable source of insider information. It's Mark Gurman. The desktop could be the size of an Apple TV. Apple hasn't redesigned
Griffin.
the Mac Mini since.
Griffin, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Your levels are really low for some reason. Can you turn it up in any way? I could do it manually here, but Then I have to turn up Lewis as well.
Yeah,
No,
is that better now?
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Okay, I'll keep this window open.
Okay.
Anyways, Apple hasn't redesigned the Mac Mini since 2010. The Mac Mini has actually only had 2 ever designs, the like white polycarbonate one and their current aluminum one. It's kind of crazy. But Apple has finally found a way to improve on the tiny desktop. It'll get much smaller, according to information leaked by Mark Gurman. The computer could end up about the size of an Apple TV, a 3.7-inch square. For reference, the current Mac Mini is a 7.8-inch square. A question I have is how they're going to fit all of the ports on the back of it, because the Mac Mini is currently about as wide as all of the ports that are plugged into it.
Put them on the top.
Apple has tested models with at least 3 USB-C ports on the back of the Mini, in addition to an area for plugging in the power cable and an HDMI port for connecting the device to TV sets and monitors. But, the Mac Mini also comes with 2 USB-A ports, and it comes with an Ethernet jack and a headphone jack. He doesn't mention those, so maybe they'll be cutting some of those, what Apple considers legacy ports, but what I consider kind of essential ports for a computer. The Mac Mini will keep its aluminum casing. It won't switch to plastic, so that's good at least. And they will continue to offer M4 and M4 Pro versions. It's not like when they switch to the tiny case that they're going to drop that sort of a mid-tier model that I think is a pretty good balance of power and price. So sounds like mostly good news, although I'm a little hesitant that they're going to butcher my favorite machine.
Butcher it?
Is the case.
I
don't want them to take ports out.
I don't either. And
I don't want something as big as a Mac Studio. The Mac Mini, it's a perfect little nugget of a computer for me.
Yeah, but they're going to make it way more powerful. I mean, it's essentially a Mac Studio Mini with the M4 Pro in there. I mean, to a degree.
It is, and that's what I like about it. But, I almost every day plug something into my Mac or unplug something. Like every single port on the back of my Mac Mini is filled.
Yeah, but that's nothing that a dongle can't fix. And we're heading back
that's
to dongle.
why you get a desktop computer, so you don't have to ever deal with like this dongle problem. I skipped over the dongle generation for this very reason.
Oh, you never had any dongles, huh? Well,
no.
Those were tough times, man. Let me tell you. Those were tough
I suffered
days.
in other ways because I still had a 2015 MacBook Pro in early 2023, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but at least you had some USB-A ports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I could see them pulling some ports out of here, but in which case, I think the trade-off with more power, smaller size, so that you could just have it on your desk, and then you have a dock. I don't want that solution by any means. I think I like docks, but when you have to have a dock, it's super annoying. I think that it should have enough ports for regular people. But if they're going to make it smaller, they could put ports on the side. I don't love that implementation because it's way less clean, and now you have cables that are pulling on your Mac from the side, which kind of makes it like skew and not sit on your desk like facing forward because you have like the pressure for it being pulled from its side. But for that chip, I think that might be a pretty good trade-off. And you could do crazy video editing with an M4 Pro. You could probably that would be powerful enough for, I would say, 95% of people's video editing, especially for content creators. There's no way you would need anything more powerful than that. Now, they haven't released it yet, but I mean, you can do 4K
the
editing.
M2 MacBook Pro is already more than powerful enough for that.
Yeah.
I do 4K video editing all the time, and it handles it absolutely swimmingly.
Yeah, the M1's the same. Like, I was arguing with myself last night because I'm thinking about getting the M4 Max MacBook Pro when they release it. And I was like, dude, you do not need this. You do not need this. The M1 is perfectly good enough for anything that I'm going to be doing. And not to mention, I haven't even put out a YouTube video in like 7 months. But then I think it's not about need, Lewis. It's about it's about having the best. Got to have the best that there is. You got to be able to shave 10 seconds off your 4K video export for that one export that you do every 6 months of video. It's about that. I'm not even editing the CultCast anymore. Griffin's doing it. So, like, for me, it's really pointless to have such a powerful machine because I could probably get away with a 15-inch MacBook Air at this point. And in a lot of ways, that machine would be, I think, a better all-around computing machine because it's not as heavy. It's easier to carry. And I've thought about doing that implementation, like getting a MacBook Air and then a Mac Studio or something just to have, because I really do. I know I say this all the time. I actually really do want to get back into YouTube. I should have never left. It was a huge mistake. It was a huge
I've
mistake.
been telling you, I think even a MacBook Air would be more than enough to handle the CultCast live streams, because an M4 MacBook Air would probably be more powerful than that PC you have right now.
I don't think so, man. I mean, the video card that I have in here is a 4080, and its encoders, its video encoders, I think are unparalleled, unless you get a 4090. But it's able to encode in YouTube's highest quality codec, which I'm not sure a Mac could even do. I think you actually have to have NVIDIA to do that. I forget what codec it's called. It's like the A something.
AV1.
AV1, yeah. So we broadcast an AV1, which I will say when we upgraded to AV1, it made a huge difference in quality. I mean, for better or worse, you can see our faces much more clearly now. You know, all of a sudden you can see that Lewis is half Gorbachev over there. Lewis, that thing's getting redder as we broadcast.
It's angry.
I don't know if you were rubbing it or something. For those of you listening, Lewis, did you take a spill on the ground? Is that what happened?
I had an unfortunate incident at a wedding reception in Wisconsin. There might have been beer involved.
Yeah, I was going to say, were there some ales involved? Okay. And you tripped on your lederhosen. Were you carrying the tray full of the beers? Passing them
no,
out?
I was not working. If
Okay.
I was working, I'd be fine.
Yeah. It doesn't look that bad, but it is a little Gorbachev-esque.
There's something about this eerie monitor light that is it's really making it shine.
It looks like Prison Lou might have had to teach a
Gotta
few people who
scrape.
was boss in the clink. Am I right? That's really what happened. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I've completely lost where we are or what we should be talking about. I think we're going to Lewis next, but before we do, I just want to give a huge thanks to Hugo last with the big $49.99 super chat. Hugo last coming in strong yet again. He says, finally the four of us, I mean the three of you, back together. But you know what, Hugo? We're going to make it four. I know I've been promising that for far too long with absolutely no action, but we're going to make that happen. We got to bring Hugo last on the show. I'm reaching out. I'm making a note. I don't have my notepads. So I guess I'm not making a note. But it's
Use
going
the
to happen.
reminders app on your iPhone 7.
I was like, really? Let me take 20 minutes to unlock my iPhone. And when I pull down for the search bar, it takes like 6 seconds to load, you know? And then open up. Oh, and I open up the Notes app. It's going to want to sync. That's going to take another 20 minutes. The thing's on LTE, which actually is just as fast as 5G in my area.
What a shock.
Yeah, I can't believe we ever used to use phones this size, man. It is.
It's in the hand well, doesn't it?
It is easier to type with one hand, but it is unbearable. And like the text is so small. I mean, I think that's why looking at my phone in the car was making me car sick, because you really have to focus and squint to see the text on this phone because it's just so dainty and tiny. But you know, it's all
Well,
I
there is
got.
actually a feature related to that coming in iOS 18, an operating system that phone can't run called vehicle motion cues that adds animated dots around the edge of your phone if you're using it in a car that'll make you less motion sick.
You don't say. What a
Wow, is that
expert-
available in the iOS 18 beta?
It is. And
Beta
if
5?
our
Wow.
viewers are more curious about that, they can stay tuned for this weekend when I make a video all about it. The timing could not be more perfect.
Well, I was gonna say they don't have to stay tuned for long because you're about to talk about it, right? It's going to you,
let's
right?
move on to that.
Let's just do it. Take it away. Keep
Actually,
taking
I
it
don't
away.
think that's part of the story. But iOS 18 Beta 5, all the new features and changes. The fifth beta of iOS 18 is here, following their 2-week release cycle. Here's what's new. iOS 18 Beta 5 introduces a new distraction control option in Safari. It allows you to manually remove annoying elements from a web page. Actually, minor editing point. The voice level, I'm watching this happen in system settings on my computer. Every time I speak, the input volume slider manually pushes itself down.
Do you have automatically adjust turned on in Skype?
I don't. I have it turned off, and I can see it happening right now because I'm not
Oh, great.
continually clicking the button.
That's wonderful.
But I think I'm going to need you to do that for me.
You want me to do what for you?
Just turn up my input volume on the YouTube live stream.
Turn off the trail off plugin.
Yeah, I can do it on my mixer, but just know that when he's talking, Griffin or Lewis, when I do that, your volume's going up too because Skype doesn't separate audio files per person. So when you talk, I get audio on both channels. So when Griffin's talking, you can't talk, Lewis. Absolute silence. Okay, I'll turn it up on my side.
Okay. I'll try and
Let's
and
see
do
if that
something
fixes
here.
it.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Anyways, hello, future Griffin. I hope you've had fun editing that. Anyways, don't confuse distraction control with an ad blocker because it's not. You need to manually remove each individual element, including ads, and the changes don't carry over from other pages from the same website. So a lot of people are just kind of scratching their heads at this feature, like what it's for. It's kind of bizarre. Like, yeah, when you open a website and it's filled with cluttered articles, I just go into reader mode. I don't want to manually like pop and Thanos snap away all of the ads on the site. Kind of strange. The other big change is that Apple made a number of changes to the Photos app, addressing some of the problems I've covered in gratuitous detail in a previous article. First of all, the carousel is gone. That means that your photo library no longer randomly disappears when you.
That sounds like.
It's always there when you scroll back up to it, which is what people expect to happen. So that's a good change, in my opinion. Apple also made it easier to find your recently saved photos from Messages in Safari. The recently saved album was kind of buried before, but now it's right there under your library. It's been like merged with the new recent days section. Those are some changes that'll have a big impact on usability. And those are, I would say, my top 2 out of 5 changes that I was wishing for. I still think the search button is way too tiny and hard to reach. I have like a 50% failure rate of hitting the wrong button because the search button is just so small. It's right next to, it's sandwiched between a select button and your profile button. So I hit the wrong one like constantly. What I'm really wishing for is that I wish it was like a full-size text field between the library and the collections where you could, actually reach it with your thumb. And you would think that with how much more important search is going to be with all these Apple Intelligence features that they would want to make the search button more obvious. I don't know. Seems like a natural thing for me, but no.
Oh, they axed the carousel, though. That's pretty big. That must have meant that, I mean, first of all, how did it sneak its way in there when I'm sure they're doing a ton of UI, UX research and testing and stuff, and now it's gone, which means it must have been complained about so much that they're like, yeah, we can't continue with this.
I maybe want to take a little bit of credit for this because I wrote that article.
That was definitely
you.
You.
The Photos app, and it was like the top post on r/Apple for a few weeks, and I know a few people on the Photos team, and I know that they read what I write. So,
wow, maybe it was you, especially if it was top on the Apple subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they
Griffin,
did
the carousel killer.
I guess I didn't read the whole article.
That's what they call you around
I
Cupertino.
encourage them to. There'll be a link in the show notes. Please share it with everybody you know because I want the search button to be reachable with one thumb again.
By the way, just real quick, chat, is Griffin's audio loud enough now? I turned it way up, so hopefully it should be fixed. But now I also hear a hiss. So that's
anyways,
great. Yeah.
One last change. They redesigned some of the icons in Control Center and on the home screen. Maps has a new dark mode icon that removes much more of the color than before, but they keep changing that one.
Nice. Okay. Is it safe to use the beta now? Should I go ahead and?
I would say you can.
Okay.
I would say it's probably reliable enough. I actually haven't had as many bugs on this build as before. But
Actually, it doesn't matter because it's not compatible with the iPhone 7.
That's true. That's true. You are saved.
I'm on
cycle.
iPhone. I think I'm on iOS 15.8.3. That's as far as I'm going.
It's funny. Lewis and I were speculating last week when all this Apple Intelligence beta was released. Oh man, it's a shame Erfon isn't on this week because he would probably have a lot to say about it. Little we know.
See, he downloaded it, blew up his phone.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't it. That probably would have been covered under the 2 months of warranty I had left. Can't believe it. All right, well, I'm chomping at the bit to get to my story here, but I know we have the Samsung store. Samsung. There's actually a guy at my local Nordstrom Rack. He is a tailor, and his name is Samsung. And I always chuckle when I go into the dressing room because they have a picture of him with his name, Sam space Sung. He's the local tailor for the Nordstrom Rack there. But I'm not sure he had any input into this story.
Be strange having a past tense surname.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think it bothered me that much. But tell us about the story, Lewis.
I'm gonna skip right over the Apple Watch, huh?
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Let's do that one first. You expect me to know where in the notes we are? I can never keep track.
I don't want to blow up the amazing transition. Let's go with Samsung.
You want to? Okay.
Hero of the Nordstrom Rack. Yeah,
I hear he's a pretty good tailor, to be honest with you. He's been there forever.
Sure.
The guy's been there for like 15 years or something.
They wouldn't hire a slouch at the Nordstrom
Definitely
Rack.
not.
So you can add Samsung Electronics chairman Lee. Oh my God, I hope I pronounce this right. Lee Jae-yong, to the list of people who think his company's new smartwatch and wireless iBuds. Oh my God, that would be something. That's what's next. iBuds, wireless earbuds. What?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted, but since I did, I'm going to go ahead and just continue. I'm looking at the picture now of the new Samsung watch next to the Apple Watch, and I saw a picture of this on X earlier this week, and I didn't even know what I was looking at. I was confused because the band is so identical.
Oh yeah,
and
I mean,
so clearly ripped off from Apple that I thought that maybe somebody was trying to sell like a third-party band on Amazon or something. I didn't realize this was an actual Samsung product.
Yeah, I mean this guy. I start at the top. Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Jae-yong. He basically shook up the mobile team at the company over what he called Apple design plagiarism. Pretty crazy. He reportedly got angry at executives at Samsung's mobile division for approving such copycat devices as what you're talking about. What do they call it? The Galaxy Watch Ultra, I believe. Or Galaxy Watch 7. No, they didn't call it. And Buds 3 earbuds. Let's see. Company spokesperson told Aju News. Chairman Lee himself stepped forward as controversy over Apple design plagiarism and quality arose over the Buds 3 series and Galaxy Watch 7 released last month. This is, of course, according to machine translation. I love this quote. The current internal atmosphere is not very good. I guess maybe I misspoke. I'm not sure he exactly himself called it Apple design plagiarism, but this guy, the head of Samsung Electronics, is shaking up everything inside the company, saying, "Hey, you got to come up with your own ideas. You can't just be taking the Apple Watch Ultra and turning that into our next device." I mean, and as you're saying, it was if you ever saw those two things side by side, it's unbelievably egregious how they copied it, and also how it somehow looks worse. I mean, it's like an AI generated version of the Ultra.
That's really funny.
You know, like a hand with 6 fingers, right? It's just not quite right. It's just a little bit weird looking anyway. So, and the same thing with the earbuds that they put out there.
Yeah,
they have the stems like AirPods do now. So
I'm showing those right now, and the shape is it looks exactly like the AirPods 3 with the new angle of the stems, but they're silver, and they have like an LED light on the outside. The inspiration of Samsung's products based on Apple's products, there's no way that this can be just coincidence. Like, it keeps happening over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, like, and did they just hire Lee Jae-yong last week? Like, is this the first time? They've been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
maybe he's been busy with the horrible Samsung refrigerators. He's been trying to figure out the ice maker for 5 years.
I know. I've heard really bad things about Samsung appliances. I've never owned one, but their refrigerators, I mean, I've heard you should never buy a Samsung washer and dryer for sure.
Yeah. Well, if you want a refrigerator that doesn't make ice,
or refrigerate,
Samsung is the brand for you.
But its Wi-Fi is going to work great the whole time you own it. The refrigerator Wi-Fi will be perfect. It's going to be a great. Oh god, what do they call that new standard they added to?
Matter.
Matter.
Or Thread?
Yeah, it's probably like a Matter enabled fridge. Like it probably works great as a Matter router, but like the actual refrigeration, questionable. It's crazy, man. It's crazy that they do this and get away with it. But it's actually a really good business model. There's a lot of hype around Apple's products, and if Samsung comes in with one that looks similar, but it's cheaper, which is what they do, even if it's not as good from a quality perspective, like a lot of people aren't like me, Lewis. They don't demand the best. They're willing to just go with the second best. Of course, I demanded the best with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. And what I got, Lewis, was not the best. Not the best product, not the best experience, not the best customer service. I've got to say, went in there. I'll tell the whole story in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. But should we move on to the kid-friendly Apple Watch SE? Now, this seems like a zany product, but I actually think there is a real market for kids' smartwatches. Kids like watches. My kids like watches. And you get Find My turned on it, so you can always find your kid. I mean, there are some things they could work into this that would actually be pretty useful.
Yeah, and so that's the rumor. Apple Watch SE3 reportedly would come in a plastic casing. The good thing about that, I mean, aside from possibly making it cheaper, is it might be able to make it a lot more colorful, and maybe they might even actually make it some fun colors, like they did with the 5C when they went with that thing.
Oh man, that's a throwback right there.
Let's see. What is this story talking about? The current color options, as you may or may not know, Apple Watch SE comes in Midnight, which is black, Starlight, which is goldish, and silver. Typical color palette for Apple. But this latest rumor from, you won't believe it, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says next generation version will have a plastic casing that, quote, could allow for a better array of colors. He didn't offer any predictions about what those colors might be, but I mean, if you look at who knows? Remember Swatch? Remember those watches?
Yeah, they're still around, aren't they?
Fun and color. Well, I mean, are they big now? I don't know.
Well,
but I mean,
probably. They're
there's
probably
room
super
for
expensive
fun,
now.
colorful watches, right? Let's see. Gurman said expanding the number of color options could make the Apple Watch SE more kid-friendly. And as our story points out, it's an outstanding accessory for a kid. Their school, like if your school bans an iPhone, the kid or they lose their iPhone, the Apple Watch, you can always be in touch with your kid, especially if they got a cellular connection. Like you're saying, built-in GPS and Find My, so you can kind of keep tabs on a little Rugrat. I don't think there's any pricing information about this. Current one costs $249. Would they make it a little cheaper by going plastic?
They would have to make it cheaper, man. They'd have to cut features.
Would they have to make it cheaper?
I think so. Well, how many people are buying their kid a $250 smartwatch? I don't think so.
What's $250 now compared to what $250 was 2 years ago?
Still a lot for a kid. I mean, in my opinion, they'd have to make it like $150 or less. It would have to be pretty cheap and shatterproof, or at least very, very, very rugged. But then you could design a band called, I'm coining the term, Safe Lock. It's a band that you could put on your kid's wrist that can't be taken off.
Wow.
So that you know where your kid is at all time. The only other option is securing an AirPod to them somewhere, or a
AirTag.
AirTag, thank you. It's hard to make them swallow them. They're very large. There's other options, but most of them are not going to be something that will stay in their bodies. So you got to have a way to secure something that will enable Find My.
Wouldn't it have to be a breakaway, though? I mean, what if they get too close to the thresher?
Well, if your kids live on a farm, maybe we have to think through that user scenario.
Breakaway like the cat collars.
They should be wearing the Nike Sport Band if they're getting serious work done.
That's the one thing that was kind of weird about this. Like Apple Watch, I mean, what's Apple Watch's main thing? I mean, using it as like a glorified AirTag is one thing, but health stuff, I mean, maybe it would help, the childhood obesity epidemic. Hey, how many steps did you get today, Junior? Might be good. Who knows?
Well, check this out. We got Ninja Bricks in the chat. Says, kids can't even use a lot of the features. I'm a teen. We got a teen here. Can you believe this? We're cool with the teens, Lewis. I don't know if you knew that.
I can't believe it.
He says, I'm a teen, and it won't let me use some health features like ECG. I guess it will stunt my growth or something. I heard if you turn on
Really?
ECG, you just knocked a foot off your height. That's it. Even one exposure to ECG. So that is interesting.
I never heard this.
Must
Okay.
have been what happened to me.
What would the rationale? What would the rationale be for that?
I don't know. But, if you're a minor, then there are things that maybe they just aren't allowed to let you use without your parents' permission or something.
You can't check your heart rate.
Yeah.
Well, not heart rate, but
Okay.
Huh.
But still, a cool product. I think this is a great idea. Like my daughters have started getting into watches, and their watches that they have are just your regular run-of-the-mill watches, and they can't do anything on them except tell time. And I think it'd be really cool to have something that you could send them messages, know their location. They could
use the walkie-talkie app. Remember that?
That would be super cool. Finally, someone I want a digital touch with, right?
If they could drop the price just a smidgen, although really is plastic that much more cheaper than aluminum?
I don't think it's just the plastic that's
really.
going to be it. Like they're going to have to knock out a bunch of features to make this thing cheap.
Like
I
what?
honestly don't think. I don't know. Maybe using an older version of the watch and just putting it in a plastic case, something. Because $200 too much, $250 too much, $150 I think is maybe in the threshold, but a lot of people are not going to want to spend that much on a kid's watch.
I don't know, man. If they push it like, hey, yeah, keep tabs on your kid and find out how much exercise they're getting, motivate them to be more healthy.
They can't. They're underage.
I think 179 is maybe the lowest we could realistically expect Apple to go.
And the thing is, if they dropped it to like, let's say $229, then it goes on sale for $179, and I mean that's part of what happens with all these prices, right? I mean, you always find these deals. I mean, Apple
and even
doesn't
after
offer
Apple
them.
discontinues it, like they're going to keep selling it at Walmart or Best Buy for even cheaper prices. Like you can probably still buy an original Apple Watch SE from 4 years ago for like if you want a 129 Apple Watch or something like that. I'm making those numbers up, but to be something like that happens often.
Yeah, the Swatch is still alive, by the way. If you aren't
I
familiar
didn't
with
mean
Swatch,
didn't mean to indicate they're not around, but
I don't think you were accusing them not being around. I was just curious. And Swatch, a very cool, trendy watch brand, like in the 80s and 90s, for very vibrant, loud. I think cool designs for watches. And I just went to their website, dude. They still got it, man. They got tons of cool designs on here. I would wear literally any watch in this row. Maybe not that last one, but or that one. But they got a bunch of really cool Swatch designs. The only thing is like, do you want to spend $130? Like a Swatch back in the day was like what, $20? And of course now they're far more trendy. Oh, they got 80s and 90s Swatches. Look at this. Okay, those are the ones we were just looking at. Dude, those look cool.
I can't see nothing.
Yeah, sorry. I guess you can't.
I like that. On their homepage, they have like some transparent ones, translucent ones.
I'm all about transparent.
Pretty wild. And I mean, we're always ragging on Apple for not having colors. So like, if they do this, let's hope that they actually come up with some real eye-popping colors, not just like, teal.
They should do a Swatch collab. They would never do that because I don't think Apple does collabs.
Light brown.
The Zune edition. I saw a guy the other day wearing a Zune shirt, and my favorite part is the shirt was brown. Do you remember the brown Zune?
Brown was the new black for a minute and a half.
That's literally how long it was, a minute and a half, and then they realized we've made a huge mistake. A brown music player. I mean, it's the Zune, man.
At least it wasn't maroon.
They might have had maroon. I don't know. All right, let's see here. I think we got to go ahead and start moving on because I got to tell my iPhone story.
This might take a while.
I'm gonna condense the story, although this is going to be cathartic for me because it was very traumatic. And then Griffin is going to do a review for us. Dude, I need to get some stuff to review. Oh, my goodness. We got to get some more under reviews going on this show. I've got hardly anything to talk about from a hardware perspective, although I may have soon. I did just buy some stuff. Okay, so going back to my camera angle here. As you all know, I was on vacation last week. I went to beautiful Eastern Washington. And Eastern Washington is so... Once you cross the Cascades, you go from Western Washington. The Cascades is a mountain range. You go from Western Washington to Eastern Washington, and the terrain is completely different. Like, it's not rainy over there. It's beautiful. It's sunny. It's actually very dry and desert-like. And if you go far enough east, you will eventually hit the Columbia River, which I think is one of the most majestic rivers in the U.S. It's absolutely massive, and you could go. There's all these beaches that it has along its banks. And anyway, so we were just playing around in Eastern Washington, and we decided to do a river float. A river float, you get on a tube, and you just float down the river. It's super cool. It's fun. Like, they have tubes that like hold beers and stuff. I mean, a lot of people have like river float parties. We weren't getting so adventurous. We were just floating down the river, and you could just kind of like tie all your rafts together, and then eventually you have to get off and hit a beach. But like, you can float for like between 1 and 3 hours. I mean, depending on how far you go. It's super fun. So everyone wants me to take a video. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. My iPhone 15 Pro Max IP68 rated. What could go wrong? So I take the thing. It's in my lap, okay? And we're going like 1 mile an hour. This is not like you're on a boat getting pulled. You're just floating docilely down the river. There's almost no current at all. And I was using my phone. My hands are wet. It probably got splashed a few times, and it did get immersed in probably like 1 to 3 inches of water like a few times, and I took it out, Not a big deal. I mean, for those of you who have followed this show for any length of time, my iPhone 13 Pro, I took on a trip to Disney World in 2022, and as I was taking a video, and as I was getting onto a water slide, I slipped. The phone fell. It hit the slide so hard it came out of its case, and it went down the water slide all by itself, and then landed in a pool with a thud, hit the bottom of the pool, and was in the water for 3 to 4 minutes as I went down the water slide and went to look for it. I have a video of this whole thing. And then eventually I saw it. I found it in the pool, took it out, totally perfect. And I actually ended up trading that phone in for my 15 Pro Max because it had absolutely no water damage. Okay, so you can see where this is going. So I get towards the end of the float, and I notice that my volume buttons on my 15 Pro Max are being all weird. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, sometimes you get water on your screen and your phone interprets that as a touch. I thought that was it. But then I turn it over and there's fog underneath the lenses. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. This thing barely got splashed at all. I mean, I have almost never used it. I don't think it's ever even been near water until that instance. And so in my mind, and I hope you guys don't find this to be whiny. I'm just telling you what happened. So if I get too whiny, just let me know. I'll tone it down. But like, in my mind, this is a warranty problem. Like, this phone's seal has failed. It's an IP68 rated phone, which means it should be safe, down to 18 feet of full submersion. Now, they say it's water resistant. It's not waterproof, as a caveat, because they don't cover water damage under the standard warranty. You're supposed to buy Apple Care Plus for that. I get that. But in my mind, if they advertise the phone as being water resistant and they show, like, remember when they released those videos of the phone being sprayed with all those mini jets, right? And it's like cycling all around it. And there was literally an ad from Apple that showed showed the phone being splashed at a pool. And they're like, good thing your phone is an iPhone or something. I forget what the words are. So they advertise the fact that it's water resistant. But when I used it in the exact scenario where they advertised it, the phone got water in it. So
sorry if you've explained this, and maybe I just didn't hear, but when exactly did your phone encounter the water?
It was maybe last Wednesday. I forget exactly.
Did it get submerged? Did you drop it or?
No, I didn't drop it. So I had it in my lap, and it got splashed, I think, just with water coming over the tube a few times. And then, when you're sitting in the tube, it has a net at the bottom, so you're not just like hanging your butt down. But like, if you go below a certain level, like, there is water like touching your butt and stuff. And there's a couple times where my phone fell off my lap into that water, but it's like 2 or 3 inches of water, right? And when that happened, I just picked it up and put it back in my lap, not thinking that this would cause an issue. So I took it to the Apple store, and I was like, I'm going to just tell them, I know this is not covered, but I'm going to try and make a case why I think it should be, because there's no way this phone should have failed under these conditions. So I go in there. And actually, first off, they had me talk to their manager. And I told her the whole story. And she was like, you didn't take it in like a steam room or anything? I was like, no, it just got splashed. And then I tell her the whole story, and she's like, well, actually, I can't help you. You're going to need to talk to our tech. So I'm like, oh, thanks for having me tell you the whole story for 5 minutes. So the tech comes over. Immediately, I can tell this guy's got an attitude problem. He needs an adjustment, right? But I'm being cool. I'm like, I'm going to be cool. And I just told him, like the same thing I just told you guys. I'm like, look, I know that this is not covered by your warranty, but if you'll allow me to make a case, I think that this should be covered, and here is why. And I told him exactly what happened. And this guy is just a complete jerk. Could not be any more unpleasant. Like, was combative with me, argued with me the entire time, and was basically accusing me of lying to him, that I must have done something more than I was telling him. And I was like, no, man, that's exactly what happened. And he was like, that's, I was saying, I think the seal on his phone failed, which is my premise for why I think you should replace it. And he goes, that's literally never happened. That's literally never happened. The seal has never failed. And I'm like, first of all, how could you possibly know that? You know, like, that's just, there's no way you can know that. Like, clearly the seal has failed at some point. There's no way that you have an absolutely 100% record for seal failures. I'm like, not only that, if the seal didn't fail, then how did the water get in? Clearly, you got a seal problem on your hands, you know? And he just would not hear it. He was like, no, that doesn't happen. And I'm like, well, then how did the water get in? He's like, well, there are other ways it could get in. And I'm like, well, please enlighten me. How does water get into a phone if the seal doesn't fail? And of course, he's like, he couldn't give me an answer. The guy had no idea what to say. And I'm like, this guy is used to talking, no offense, to plebs who have no idea how any of this stuff works. And I'm like, bro, your phone should be good down to 18 feet of water. And when I said that, he didn't know what to do. He could not believe that I knew that information. And he tried to backtrack, and he was like, well, it's not guaranteed. You know, a splash can do it depending on how it splashed. And he was basically minimizing the fact that the phone is water resistant, basically telling me, like, yeah, like, it's IP68, but that's like a best case scenario. Like, really, any splash could completely brick your phone. I mean, this is literally what he was telling me. Like, that's kind of what his argument was.
Too bad you couldn't pull up the video and show him here's how it's supposed to work.
I know. I almost...
I'd show you, but my phone doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Well, here's the thing, though. The phone does work perfectly well, except there's fog underneath the lenses. And I'm like, I've got to get this water out. Otherwise, it's going to ruin the phone. And so he tells me, I think what you should do is just let it sit out to dry so that the water can get out. And I'm like, how is the water going to get out, man? You just told me the seal is unbreakable. It's trapped in there. There's no way the water's coming out. I'm like, how is it going to get out? He's like, well, the same way it got in there. And I go, how was that?
That makes sense. Did you try the rice?
Dude, the rice trick is completely worthless, I think.
Everybody, it's such a classic go-to.
I know,
what about the toaster oven trick?
How about the real oven trick? You put it in the real oven and just heat it up and see what happens. So
that's a waste. You just need the size of the toaster oven. You don't need a big oven.
So I thought of it this way, and I was like, that's true. Just put it on dark, right? Set it down, put it on dark. So I tried leaving it in the sunlight, and the water inside would evaporate, but eventually it would start condensing again. And I was like, there's no way this water's coming out. So I'm like, there's only one solution here. Papa E's got to open this bad boy up. So I go on Amazon. I buy the iFixit tool set, which is a very nice tool set. Very expensive, but it is nice. And I watched all the how-to videos. iFixit has some on their website. There's some on YouTube. And I was like, this looks doable. It looks like it's doable. Now, you have to basically heat the phone up with a heat gun and then use a plunger. And then as you are plunging this thing, you have to insert like this special tool to like break the seal. And that seal...
Spudger.
It's not a spudger. A spudger is something different. And that seal on there, it's on there, man. Like, that thing is super dense. It is the most powerful glue I have ever encountered. And this entire exercise was one of the most harrowing electronic experiences I've ever had. I'm like, I'm pulling with all my might to get this thing off, and you have to like stick a tool in there, but you can't stick it in too far, because if you stick it in too far, you'll jam the tool into the phone and you'll break something inside the phone. So I'm working on this thing for 40 minutes. I'm literally sweating, and I'm nervous. And my goal is to get this screen off and let the phone air out. So with a lot of fuss and elbow grease, I do actually get the screen off the phone, and then I'm able to remove the camera module, which for those of you watching video, here it is. I got the camera module right here. Isn't she lovely?
Wow.
And as soon as I did that, all the water condensation started drying out. And I was like, dude, I was on cloud 10. 9 was below me. I could not believe that I had accomplished this feat. I'm like, I am a tech wizard. I cannot believe I got this screen off. I was like, I am going to show that guy at Apple, this phone will live again. And so it's drying out. I think it's going to be okay. I spray it with an air gun, and water comes out of it right because the buttons were all wonky. And then later that night, I'm admiring my work, and I realize, wait a second. There is like this really thin layer of plastic that goes around the edge of the phone. I don't know if you can see it. And none of the guides tell you about this, but it is what the adhesive affixes to glue the screen back on. I somehow broke a bunch of pieces of it around the edge of my screen, and I didn't know. So I'm not sure at this point I'm going to be able to re-glue this screen to my phone because now some of the plastic is gone and there's no flat layer to put the glue back onto to adhere it back to the phone. So I'm letting it dry for probably a couple more days, and then I'm going to try this out. But I don't know at this point. This phone, I know it's going to work. I just don't know if the screen's going to be all janky after I put it back on. And the weather stealing, like the dust weather stealing it's toast, man. Like that's never coming back. And the water indicator had been triggered inside the phone, so I can't trade it in or do anything with it now. So I might just sell the phone on eBay for parts. I'm just trying to get this phone in a working condition so I can use it for the next month and a half until the iPhone 16 comes out. But I don't know, man. This was an opportunity for Apple to surprise and delight me. Like, I know that they are empowered to fix the problem if they feel like they are allowed to do what they need to do to give you a great customer service experience. And this guy, for some reason, I don't know if he had low blood sugar or what was going on. Dude, what a jerk. I left him a scathing review. Apple sent me a review afterwards to see, like, how did your trip with Sean go? And I was like, let me tell you about Sean. Let me tell you about Sean, man.
Wow.
I mean, dude, look, all he had to do is be nice about it and just be like, you know what? I'm really sorry. Like, I know that it sucks and I believe your story, but there is nothing I can do, right? Like, I wish I could help you. I can't. Like, I wish there was something I could do. And, like, just to be friendly about it and to make you feel like he actually cared. But from the moment I sat down or from the moment he sat down in that chair, just an aggressor, right? Like, needlessly aggressive. Like, accusing me of lying is just so outside the range of any customer service experience that you should have. So I don't know what the moral of the story is. I guess if you want to really make sure that your iPhone doesn't get water damage, you need to get Apple Care Plus, which is what they want you to do, right? But I just think that this whole situation kind of stinks. It's like, dude, you advertise the phone's water resistance level, and then when I use it in the way that you advertise it, it broke. And now, all of a sudden, sorry, bro, you're out of luck. Buy a new phone. They did offer to give me a big discount. Like, he would have sold me a phone for $700 to replace this one. So that there is that option. But 6 weeks before the new phones are coming out, it's like, dude, just give me a new phone. It's 6 weeks. Not only that, but if I were a product manager at Apple, or if I were on their support team, I would have some level of, like, loyalty score or something. Like, you can look at my account. You can see how many Apple devices I have. It's like, this guy's got a MacBook Pro 2, a MacBook Air, iPhones, iPads, Apple TVs, Apple Watches. It's like, just give the guy a new phone. He's already paid for it. You know, like, there should be some level of loyalty there where if you have a ton of Apple products, that they should be more willing to help you out or something. Like, if you only have the iPhone and that's it, or God forbid you come in with the Galaxy Buds 3, throw them out. They're not getting a free phone. But a guy like us, I feel like, yeah, right. It's actually $200,000 worth of stock now because of the double. That's what it was when I bought it. So they actually offered to have the manager call me, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to argue anymore about this. Like, I already told her my story. She
Really?
didn't care. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe I
well,
should
yeah,
have.
you should have.
So this. Actually, I was going to tell another story about. I went to AT&T. They tried to help me out. I don't want to get these guys busted for the solution they offered me, which was less than ethical. I talked to some AT&T employees, and they proposed a solution having to do with phone insurance that I could employ to actually get my money back. I did not take advantage of it. I was like, no, can't. No, not gonna be the way that we go for this. I'm gonna just bite it. If I have to eat it, I will. But I did appreciate their effort to try to at least help me out because I think they recognized like this situation really sucks. And the phone has 2 months of warranty left on it. It's a 10-month-old phone, and here we go.
Well, I'm really proud of you for successfully taking apart your phone. That's not an easy feat to do, especially if you take the screen off rather than the back plate.
Yeah,
But,
maybe I should have taken the back plate off. Would that have been easier?
Yeah, it probably would have been.
I didn't see any guides on taking off the back plate. I should look into that. But the thing
on
is
that model
like
of phone, it's just as easy to take the back plate off as the front plate. But if you're not taking off the display, then it's a little less risky. But
yeah,
I don't know if
interesting.
that's the camera. That way.
I needed to. I feel like I needed to take off the front because that's where the logic board is, and I needed to. I mean, the back plate probably would have been fine. I could have shot air in there, so maybe in retrospect, that is the way I should have gone. But I wanted to make sure I could expose all the internals to see. First of all, I wanted to see if it was if the water indicator had been triggered, because if it is, you can't trade the phone in. And that's what I was planning on doing with this phone, which is now not possible. And also, like, I was gonna sell it on eBay or something if that wasn't possible. I just needed to know if it had been triggered. And also, I wanted to make sure it was fully dried out. And part of the problem is that there was water inside of the buttons. And I wanted to make sure I could clear all that water out so that I could actually use the buttons again. That was actually the most annoying part, is water had gotten into the lower volume button, and every time I turned the phone on, the volume would immediately shoot to 0. And if you turned it up, as soon as you turned it up, it would immediately shoot back down to 0 because the switch was always engaged because it had water in it. And then it would, once it was at 0, the bar that pops up to show you that the volume has been adjusted, it would go away and it would pop back and go away and pop back. And every time I looked at my phone, the volume indicator level would just go boop, 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 boop. And I was like, this is going to drive me insane. I cannot handle looking at this for the next 6 weeks.
It's a shame Apple didn't get the capacitive imaginary buttons to work.
Yeah, that would have saved me.
Anyways, when are you going to try and put it back together?
So I'm waiting until this weekend. I wanted to give it like 3 or 4 days to really, really air out, and then I'll try to reattach the screen. I'm going to buy the adhesive off Amazon to reattach the screen and see if that works. And then I'll use the phone for 6 weeks or so, and then when I get my new phone, I'll just sell this one on eBay for parts. But the screen is the most expensive part. And if I have damaged the screen, I'm not totally sure I did. Like, part of me believes that the screen plastic was already missing in some areas, which is how the water got in. That's probably not true. But like when I'm looking for the plastic inside the phone, I'm like, the plastic is missing. Where did it go? It's nowhere to be found. It's not inside the phone. It's not on the screen. It wasn't on the big desk I was working on. So I was like, where do these plastic pieces go to? They should be somewhere if I busted them. So where did it go? I don't know. And it was, anyway, I've gone on and on and on and on about this. That's enough. So I particularly am very much looking forward to the iPhone 16 Pro now because I'm going to probably be dealing with the iPhone 7 for the next 6 weeks if I can't get the screen on or it doesn't reboot. I mean, if I put the screen back on and try to turn it on, this phone might be toast now. I have no idea. But I'll let you guys know. But let me just show one last image of, look how beautiful the internals of this phone are. I mean, everything in its place. All the colors are beautiful. I know those of you listening can't see it. Go back and watch the live stream. But the inside looks just as beautiful as the outside, which I think is a commitment to, or a testament of Apple's commitment to quality. Am I the jerk here? That's what I'm wondering. There's a thread on Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Is it me? Am I out of touch? Like, should I not be upset about this? I really don't know. I was like, this guy's telling me I should have bought Apple Care Plus, and I think there's an element of truth to that. But I also think, like, dude, my phone's 10 months old, and it got splashed by water, and it got bricked. Like, this should not have happened. If I was taking it whitewater rapid, or in the whitewater rapids, or if I was scuba diving with it or something where it was really pushing the phone, then I would have understood more. But it getting splashed a few times and getting immersed in 1 to 2 or 3 inches of water a couple of times over the period of an hour and being used with wet hands, I do not think that should have been enough to tank the phone. I think that's a defect in your product that you should replace. But
So my theory related to that is that Apple does have a loyalty system, and they can look up how many products you have. And they saw, oh, this guy owns like 3 MacBooks, a fleet of Apple Watches. This guy can afford to replace his phone.
right, and so he's gonna buy stuff no matter what. Is that your point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like this guy's a total chode. He's gonna buy it no matter what, and so let's not give him anything. But I don't know, man. I mean, I have had experiences at Apple where they do surprise and delight you, and I know that. I don't know if that's still their philosophy. It used to be, but particularly with this Apple store, the one in Seattle, I find more often than not, and maybe it's because they get scammed so much and people are trying to get something for free, that when you go in there, they always have an attitude problem. It's like there's absolutely no reason to have an attitude. You should be cool, and for sure, you should not accuse someone of lying to you in any situation. It should just be like, yeah, I'm really sorry. Like, you should always have a level of empathy, even if you're pretending. Because what is that old adage? People may not remember what you do, they may not remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. I walked out of that store with a very bad taste in my mouth. I was like, that guy was a complete jerk. It was completely unnecessary. Not only did he not help me, but he was rude, he was combative, he was argumentative, and he was a know-it-all. And he did not even know features about the phone that I knew. Like the IP68 rating, it's like he almost didn't know anything about it. He was telling me that a minor splash can brick a phone. It's not a guarantee, and that you really shouldn't have it around water at all. And I'm like, bro, there is a commercial that Apple released with it being sprayed with water jets. Have you seen the commercial? There's a podcast you should listen to called the CultCast. We talked about it. And apparently not, because that was news to him. Sean, he's not a surprising or delightful person. That is true, Gurn. The problem is it's not a defect in the product, it's a defect in Sean. I think that was the real problem. Sean is defective.
He's a surprisingly irritating person. You got it wrong. You only listened to the first word.
Yeah, man. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a complainer, but that was the experience. I thought you all might find that interesting. And it's always disappointing when something like this happens with a product that you spent a lot of money on, like my HomePod, right? The fact that it failed and I'm just out the money, that rarely happens. Like, rarely do you just completely lose an electronic device with no way of repairing it. And to be honest, I kind of get the right to repair argument now. I kind of get it. It's like, man, you're telling me the only thing I can do is pay you for a brand new phone? Like, there's no other repair that you can offer me? No. I was like, can you take the screen off for me? Just take the screen off for me. Because I don't have the tools or the expertise. He's like, no, absolutely not. Like, we will not do that for you. We will not touch that phone. You have to buy a new phone. That is the only thing he would do for me. Seems weird, right? It's like, I'll pay you $50. Just take the screen off. The warranty's already void. Just take the screen off for me. And no, they wouldn't do it. All right, man. Griffin, do you want to talk about the Zyke magnetic wireless charging stand? We need a palate cleanser for sure.
Sure. If you would like a nice product that, well, I guess I don't know how it doesn't matter. I've never taken this product.
Just try it. Let us know.
I've never taken it rafting before. But this is a 3-in-1
whoa.
desktop style charger.
Hold on. I just want to caveat. I was not rafting. I was tubing. And the reason I make that distinction is because rafting implies you're like going down rapids. And no, man, I was floating at 1 mile an hour in completely docile waters. And I just want to make that distinction because I know some people are going to think you were in a boat, you were doing something crazy. No, man, it was like if I were floating any slower, I'd be going upriver. That's all I wanted to add.
Okay, well, I have not taken this tubing either. I actually went tubing recently as well. It was very fun. My phone didn't have any problems. You know, good old tried and true iPhone 12 Pro. That's what it is. Anyways, this is a desktop style 3-in-1 wireless charger. Like, we reviewed a number of the portable foldable ones by CookSU. This is a desktop style.
Cooks me. Cooks you.
Bless you. It has a 15-watt MagSafe spot for your iPhone.
Nice.
You know, a little flip-up Apple Watch charger. The Apple Watch charger isn't permanently deployed. Like you can flip it up if you want, or lay it flat, and it's got a spot for your AirPods there.
Oh, nice.
A very interesting use of materials that I haven't seen in other desktop chargers, in that it's like mostly made out of I don't know, like plastic that looks like metal, but on the like sort of horizontal foot charging pad part of it, it's like this Alcantara of some kind.
Yeah.
So it's
I was going to say, it
It's
looks
like
like leather. It is leather,
It's
isn't it?
Alcantara.
Alcantara is like suede leather, I think.
maybe it's like suede. I don't know if it's they don't say what it is, but
Okay.
it does feel nice, and it's sort of soft touch like that.
Yeah.
My only comparison point is like really the CookSU products, and what I don't like about those is that the Qi charger, like the regular like wireless sit it flat on top, no magnetic connection charger that's intended to be used for AirPods. Sometimes they'll have like a picture of an AirPod case on it, and I find that kind of annoying because like, first of all, you can put other things on there, like you can put an iPhone 10 on there and it'll charge it, not as fast as MagSafe, but it'll still charge older devices like that as well. But I also find like the picture of the AirPods case a little unsightly. This just has like a little tiny little circle embedded in there. It looks really nice. It's not too in your face. It's really subtle. This product comes with a built-in, well, not built-in. It comes with a regular power cable that has a really neat like routing mechanism. You like sort of slide it in underneath, and then it has like a built-in cable rack that comes out cleanly out the back. Really nice, like there. The whole bottom side is covered in this really nice soft touch like rubber that keeps it really stable. One downside, I will say, it does creak a little bit. The build quality is generally pretty good, but you know, if you flex it around in your hands, I don't know if you can hear that.
That's definitely not going to survive a trip on a high-speed speedboat.
Yeah, you can get it to creak, but you know, that's not something that normal people do. It's just what
No.
weird testers like me
Just
do.
don't take it to a creek.
Yeah, exactly. It has a charging indicator light on the front,
Oh, nice.
so you can tell if it's charging or not. Other chargers I've used have like two charging indicators, one for the iPhone, one for the Apple Watch or Qi wireless charger. But this just has the one. I wish it had more, because then you could tell, like, you know, if you're not looking at the device itself, you can tell, like, you know, is this charger actually doing anything or not? Especially like the wireless chargers, you don't always know. You just kind of have to hope that you put it in the right spot and
Oh, okay.
go by that. But yeah, I will also say I'm not entirely like the Apple Watch charger sits flat. I find it a little unsightly. Like, I don't know why, but the charging puck is like really thick.
It's very thick, yeah.
Other than that, though, it does look pretty nice on a desk. You know, it's a sort of silvery, so it goes whether you have like, you know, a bunch of black stuff on your desk or silver stuff or white stuff. It sort of blends in with all the other gray products you may have in your life. And if we're Apple people, we have a lot of them, so it's a chameleon in terms of design in that way. It's a nice product. It's a little pricey at $120, I think, but you know, it's a 3-in-1 desktop charger. I use it with my iPhone every day. Just sit it on there for sit it on there, and then it goes into standby mode. And I've got
Oh,
my,
that is nice. I need to get a new Trio charger. I'm using a dual one from Belkin, and I don't even know. I think it charges like 7 watts. It's very old. And
what I like about these
yeah.
stand chargers that like put your iPhone up on this stand is that if you have it sitting vertically, you can like just pull your iPhone off with like one fluid motion. Like you can reach your hands under and behind it, and then just like pull your phone off really quickly and easily and pick it up.
Do you know if that's compatible with an iPhone 7? I'm not sure it is. Actually, I don't think the iPhone 7
MagSafe.
does not have MagSafe. Although the first
It doesn't
year
have wireless charging of any kind.
it doesn't know. Although it was the first year that they added an IPX rating or an IP rating of 67, I think. This is the first water resistant, not proof, water resistant iPhone right here. I should have taken this on the rafting trip, or the raft. Now you got me saying it on the tubing trip. Maybe I
think it was
would have
actually the
fared
iPhone
better.
6 that they first added like those rubber gaskets around the volume buttons and the display, but it was only until the iPhone 7 that they actually claimed any amount of water resistance.
I actually think that's how the water got into the phone. I think it was through the volume buttons, because it was the volume buttons that I noticed first, and it wasn't. It didn't start acting all crazy and getting the fog underneath the lenses until later on that day. So I think that's where the water got in. Now, I know that that is an impossibility. There's virtually no way for water to escape past the seal once it's been installed. That doesn't happen. Now, how does water get in? We don't know. Osmosis through the screen, perhaps? We can't be sure. Science will never tell. But the screen's impervious to moisture, or the seal's impervious to moisture. So that's one thing that you need to know about IP ratings. It's science. I can explain the rest later. All right. Is that all we got?
I think so.
Okay. Well then. I'm going to go ahead and start up that music. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? I'm making an extra effort this week to be present and to hang out in the Cult Club. And if you'd like to come join me, Griffin's in there pretty much daily. I always see Griffin talking. But you can do so, and we would love to see you there. You can head on over to support.cultcast.com, support.cultcast.com. My lawyers tell me that we can still use Cult of 9 to 5 Mac Rumors, although the litigation's ongoing. Cult of 9 to 5 MacRumors.com. Until that gets settled, we may actually get to keep it. We'll see. To fork it over. It's only $5. It's only $5. Is this show worth $5? Probably not. But it's not about what it's worth. It's about what makes you feel good. Wouldn't you just feel good supporting the show and funding my new phone that I'm now going to have to pay for out of pocket, which is crazy because I did have a perfectly good phone here. Support.cultcast.com. This has been the CultCast. New episodes come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, for hanging out live. And thank you to all of you for all your comments. Tons of comments this show. And of course, Hugo last with a massive donation. We will see you guys next time. Would you guys like me to bring the music back down and do another 25 minutes on the phone? I could easily do another 20 to 35 minutes on the phone and the experience.
I'm actually excited for you to listen to our last week's episode because I talked about a bunch of phone serving a lot of questions.
Okay. I'm going to do that.
But I might volunteer when I'm on
Oh. The music's going. You might have to repeat that because I barely heard what you said. But we're going to do that in just a sec. For some reason, it's very loud in my headphones.
Talk to somebody at a concert.